Incidents and clinical perspectives on victimology. Teens are considered to be perps and victims when dating. The types of abuse that go in relationship ranges from physical, emotional, sexual, and psychological. In a study conducted by Yanner, teens who reported perpetrating any physical, psychological, and cyberbullying were approximately twice as likely to also support perpetrating dating violence or abuse. Youth who reported experiences of bullying victimizations were about 1.5 times as likely to also report dating violence victimization. 1 in 10 youth, 10%, reported being perpetrators and victims of either dating violence or bullying, and victims but not perpetrators of the behavior. Concluding evidence indicated that teens are considered to victimize other teens in cyber settings. The reason why is because it may be seen most common because of the anonymity and the ease that they find behind a screen, which makes teens feel most comfortable or makes it more acceptable to prey on others.
Hi guys, I'm Catherine Pina Recio, and my subtopic is legal and criminal justice implications for teens and physical abuse. I hope you guys enjoy the presentation. Let's begin. Maltreated youth in comparison to non-maltreated youth that are affected by a single type of abuse are exposed to a higher risk of self-reported delinquent behavior in adolescence and criminality in adulthood. Teens that are usually detained experience trauma in childhood and throughout their adolescence. The majority of the time, physical abuse comorbids with other psychiatric disorders. This means that physical abuse doesn't happen on its own. When teens are physically abused, behind that, as I was doing research, I learned that children also may suffer from disorders like PTSD, anxiety disorder, depression, and other disorders. Factors that are linked and determine criminal activity are emotional and physical abuse. When teens are abused as a child, there's an assumption that other forms of abuse are likely to be experienced. This means that when we're in our teen years, when we're in adolescence, we cannot make decisions based off of, we cannot make concrete decisions. What we do is make decisions off of the high that we're gonna get from the outcome. So we're risk takers and we're seeking adrenaline. In a study done by Maxwell and Wyndham, 1996, they suggested that a sample of detained individuals come from high dysfunctional families in where emotional abuse such as humiliation, judging, domination, self-control was always associated with physical assaults. self regulation problems, and altered cognitive information processing, places youth with multiple maltreatment experiences at high risk for reactive aggression and criminal behaviors. Mainly, the psychiatric disorder and not the maltreatment which puts the youth at risk for repeated criminal behaviors. In Fagan's article, the cycle of violence theory is proposed. The cycle of violence theory proposes that victims of child maltreatment are at high risk for offending, and has also received considerable support from recent prospective investigations. Investigations on CVT provide much support for the cycle of violence, with the majority indicating that victims of child maltreatment are significantly more likely than non victims to become offenders. In a CBT analysis, it shows that 81% of victims report general offending during adolescence. 35% report engaging in an index offense, and over half, 57%, report drug use, compared to 54, 13, and 35, respectively, of non victims. Adolescent physical abuse has a strong immediate impact on offending during adolescence. The age range is between 13 and 19 years old. It is important to note that the relationship between adolescents, physical abuse, and the frequency of criminal involvement is more likely to be moderated by a family income, residence, and family structure, with stronger effects for youth in families earning low incomes. Physical abuse in teens is very common. Physical abuse affects men and women in different ways. Now I'm going to discuss how physical abuse plays a role in criminality between man and woman, in a man and a woman, sorry. Males in the EPS, emotional, physical, and sexual. This was a study. These are study groups that were done in an experiment. And what they found out was that they were more often reincarcerated after release from prison compared to males in the no mild class. Again, males have a problem with self regulation and altered cognitive information processing, with multiple maltreatment experiences at high risk for criminal behaviors and aggression. Women, on the other hand, have a number of studies done in feminist criminology, and they have identified that in addition to early abuse, key life events that propelled women into crime, these included family dysfunction, mental health issues, domestic violence, and economic marginalization. Age is a significant factor for understanding criminal behavior. When examining crime throughout a life course perspective, we assume that the same event can have different consequences depending on when the life course of the event occurred. A pathway was that street women who likely ran away from abusive homes and became involved in the criminal justice system due to theft, drug abuse, drug dealing, or prostitution. That is, survival strategies were, in and of themselves, criminal. The main premise was that women in the criminal justice system follow a path where childhood victimization is prevalent and followed by drug use, eventually leading into contact with the criminal justice system. So, women are more likely to fall back on drug abuse, drug dealing, and prostitution. Men are more likely to commit crimes that involve vandalism, kidnapping, theft, and manslaughter. These are some of the implications that physical abuse has on legal and criminal behavior in adolescence. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation.